What if the reason you keep starting and stopping your fitness routine has nothing to do with motivation and everything to do with what you're not measuring? We all say we want to get healthier, to be more consistent, to walk more miles. But here's the truth. You can't improve what you don't track. Until you write it down, it's just a wish floating in your mind. The moment you start logging your walks, your miles, your minutes, your mindset, you create something real. You create evidence. Evidence that you're showing up. Evidence that you're becoming who you said you would be. In this episode, I'll share with you why tracking matters and 4 key ideas to set you up for total fitness success. I'll share how tracking transformed my own walking journey from a single step on a map of New Jersey to a virtual walk around the entire United States. You'll learn why tracking builds motivation, reinforces mindset, and turns every small step into momentum you can see. Because when you track your progress, you stop wondering if you're changing and start proving that you already have. Now keep this in mind as you listen today. A little progress every day adds up to big results. Hi, I'm Frank Ring, the author of the Amazon bestseller, Walking for Health and Fitness, the easiest way to get in shape and stay in shape. After years of pushing too hard and burning out, walking helped me rebuild my health, mindset, and energy. Now I share what I've learned through my website, podcast, and videos to help you walk your way to strength, consistency, and lifelong fitness. Let's begin. And segment 1, why tracking matters. If you've ever said, I'll try to walk more this week, you know how slippery the word try can be. But the moment you write your walk down, time, distance, steps, try turns into evidence, and evidence builds momentum. So key idea number 1, tracking turns effort into visible progress. Now when you log a walk, you create a receipt for your future self. On the days you're tired or busy, you can open the journal or sheet and see the miles already banked. That visual proof fuels motivation. Because progress you can see is progress you want to continue. Key idea number 2, self-monitoring is a proven behavior change lever. Across weight loss and activity studies, people who self-monitor, that's track walks, steps, or related metrics, stick with the plan longer and get better results. One systematic review found that more frequent self-monitoring was consistently associated with greater weight loss and more weekly exercise. Paper diary or digital didn't matter. The act of tracking did. Now zooming out to movement specifically, meta-analysis of the apps or wearable-based activity programs where step counts and workouts are tracked show meaningful increases in physical activity versus control conditions. Translation, when you can see your steps, you tend to take more of them. Key idea number 3, tracking reinforces goals, consistency, and mindset. You've probably heard the old line that only 3% people write down their goals. Now that Harvard-Yale study, that stat is a myth. But a real study from Dominican University found that writing goals and pairing them with accountability significantly increased goal achievement compared with just thinking about them. So written goals plus simple check-ins beat I'll keep it in my head. Okay. And key idea number 4, habits need time and tracking keeps you engaged long enough. Forming an automatic, this is just what I do habit takes on average about 66 days with a wide range in that. Okay, so if you miss a day, it doesn't break the process. Consistency over time is what matters. Your log keeps you connected to the streak and brings you back after an off day. Now, how to start? After your walk, jot down the time, the distance, the steps, plus 1 word or more for your mood. Okay, add a tiny reflection, a 1 win. Okay, I went even though it was raining, okay? And 1 gratitude, sunset on the last half mile, for example, okay? Now that's it. You started a feedback loop that science says supports consistency. So try this out and email me your day 1 distance or tag me in social media with your starting mileage. Now I want to cheer you on, and if you're cool with it, share a few shout outs next episode. Your first entry becomes your baseline, and in a month, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. Now, up next, I'll share what I learned logging miles during my virtual walk around the United States, including the single line in my log that kept me going from when motivation dipped. Segment 2, lessons from my virtual walk. Now, how my virtual walk around the United States began. So when I started my virtual walk around the United States, it began with a simple idea. Turn my daily runs, then later on became a walk, into something bigger. Now, as I wrote on my blog post, it all started with a blog called Run the USA by two college students, Scott Sehorn and David Brofenbrenner. Now, I stumbled on it sometime in the late summer of 2003, while Dave and Scott were in the process of running across the United States from Seabright, New Jersey to Florence, Oregon, a total distance of 3,200 miles. Now, here's the catch. They would carry all the gear they needed on their backs and have no support team except a friend who served as a webmaster for the blog they hoped to be able to write during the journey. The idea was to not pay for shelter. They would either sleep outdoors or rely on the kindness of strangers. Crazy plan to say the least, and I remember this was the days before smartphones and Wi-Fi. The people that hosted them mostly had dial-up access to the internet, if any service at all. Every few days, the guys would post a write-up about their daily run, the families that would host them for the evening, and whatever was on their minds. Now, I was fascinated by the kindness of total strangers who would take these guys in based on a phone call from a friend or relative who had hosted them the night before. The guys would make arrangements to be picked up somewhere along a local road, then run all morning and early afternoon, covering anywhere from 20 to 30 miles a day. Then wait for the stranger to pick them up, drive them to their home, often leaving the guys alone while they went back to work, telling them the refrigerator's full, help yourself, and when I get back tonight, I'm treating you to dinner in town. It's truly remarkable. Now, early on, the guys bought a baby jogging stroller to hold the backpacks they had carried the first week. Sore knees and backs will have you thinking creatively. Okay. Also, running with the baby stroller along some busy highways got the interest of the local police. Now, in these times of the supposed divide in this country, it seems most people are kind, considerate, and well-meaning. Now, this run did take place in 2003. I'm confident people would be just as open and helpful today. So I really wonder, is there as big a divide between us in this country, between what the news and social media highlight every day and would like us to believe? I'm not sure we're that far apart, okay? So anyway, getting back to the story, every few days, I'd spend time reading what the guys were up to, where they stayed, how they felt, and I marveled at the great images they posted of their run. So how does this all factor into my virtual run and then virtual walk around the United States? Well, I asked myself the question, would I do this? Would I ever run across the United States if I had the time to do it? The answer was a resounding no. It seemed like much too difficult. But it got me wondering, if I plotted my weekly mileage on a map, where would it take me? So here's my big virtual run and then turned into a walk plan. So I grew up in Palisades Park, New Jersey, and Route 1 comes across the George Washington Bridge into Fort Lee, then through Palisades Park via Route 46. It continues south on Broad Avenue, which is also US 1 and 9, and this road can be driven all the way to Key West, Florida. Now, as a kid, my grandfather would tell me about traveling down Route 1 to the Jersey Shore and the trip he took to Florida traveling along Route 1. So my plan was hatched. I tracked my mileage on a New Jersey map beginning in Palisades Park on January 1st, 2004, and I'd virtually run to Key West, Florida. I'd mark the map. First I started weekly, then monthly, just to see where I was along the route. Now, to make this fun, I would post the maps in my classroom and Photoshop images of myself along the route to goof on my students into believing that every weekend I drove to the last spot I stopped at and ran from there. Some of them actually believed it. I would purchase new maps of the next state I would enter, complete with an image of me at the state's welcome sign, oftentimes just adding myself into the picture alongside the happy traveler that posted the image. I'd give the stranger a name such as Sally Simpson to really make it believable to my students. Then if I found something interesting along the route, I'd post more images such as Augusta National Golf Club, which is 2.5 miles away from Route 1. That's just down in Georgia. I photoshopped myself running in traffic on the Pulaski Skyway in New Jersey. I finished a road race with the Olympic runner Alan Webb, if you remember him, and outside of Augusta National Golf Club with Tiger Woods. Why not, right? Now, for a laugh, I photoshopped myself at various landmarks within the state I ran through. I ran the miles, just not physically in those locations, but my students bought the whole running to Key West ruse. You don't need to know Photoshop to do your own virtual run. Just a free online resources such as Gmap Pedometer or Google Earth, where you can drop pins and make notes on your progress. I used Google Sheets to set up a weekly mileage spreadsheet, and you're all set for your own virtual adventure. So Key West at last. It was on 2/22/2010. It was 1,550 miles to get there. Now remember, I started January 1st, 2004. So it took 6 years to get to Key West. Well, I was often injured while running, and I took a lot of time off from running because I had a young son at home, and I didn't plan out the running time for myself. Lesson learned. You don't find the time for fitness, you create the time. Now, after completing my Key West journey, I decided to continue the adventure by heading west with the idea of running around the perimeter of the United States. I tried to map out roads closest to the perimeter. Florida was easy. As I got into Texas, it was tougher, as I had to zoom in on Google Earth to find what looked like dirt roads that ran along the border of Mexico. Now, California was long, 1,215 miles, but the images I found there were awesome. Now, along the way, I took 2 years off from running, as I said, when my son was very young. I just didn't make the time to run, okay? I always struggled to get out the door and begin running, even in the best of times. If you know my story, you'll know about that. I also took time off to recover from a back injury in 2016, and it was during the recovery process that I switched to walking, and I haven't regretted one day of it. Now, closing in on the end of my virtual run walk and how walking changed my life. Now, from the beginning, this was always a way to track my running progress in a fun way and to keep me motivated to get out on the days where I was less than enthusiastic to run. Now, once I hurt my back, I could no longer run. Walking became my choice of fitness exercise until my back was healthy enough to begin running again. That was my plan. Well, a funny thing happened on the way to running again, and I fell in love with walking. Now, while the physical aspects of walking is what drew me to it, ultimately, it was the benefits to my mindset that kept me walking. When I was a runner, I was concerned with getting from point A to the turnaround point of my run and timing it. Run, left no time to think for anything else. How did it compare to my last run? How can I improve? When the self-doubt would creep in, hey, I'm 10 seconds slower than last week. What's happening? Running is supposed to make you feel good, isn't it? And I just felt stressed, and I really didn't enjoy it, but I did it to stay in shape. Now, you can listen to music while you run, as the beat helps you keep your pace, but to try and listen to a podcast or audiobook, especially one that challenges you to think, becomes impossible with all that huffing and puffing involved with running. Even when I was healthy as a runner, every time I started the run, it felt like it was the first time I ever ran. I would breathe so heavy in the first 3 or 4 minutes that I'd ask myself, how could it be this difficult after all this time running? And I was in very good shape. Now, the power of feedback. It wasn't until I stopped running that I took a good look at my running logs and spreadsheets and came to a startling conclusion. Running hurts. Well, it hurt me a lot. My spreadsheet goes back to 2009, and my training logs, the handwritten books, go back to the 1990s. And when I studied them, the fact that I was hurt so often just jumped off the page. So why didn't I ever notice this before? I was so caught up in running, in recording time and mileage, and getting hurt that I didn't see the pattern of every time I increased my mileage, I got hurt. Sore knee, sore back, a shin problem that lasted like a year and a half, which severely limited my running time. Then the back injury was a herniated disc due in large part to running, improper weightlifting, and improper posture, especially post-run. Right? Now, a future book I plan to write and to publish goes into greater detail about what to do post-activity. I discovered a little-known factor in back pain that was so simple to correct that it could have prevented the 7 months of agony that I went through. All I needed was some minor adjustments to my post-run routine, correct sitting and standing posture, and some simple back exercises. Okay, so the conclusion of my virtual walk run. Oh, 2020, what a letdown. The year started as a great year that quickly turned sour with the COVID-19 pandemic, the lockdowns, and the deaths. Now, I worked it out that I could complete the run by the middle of June 2020, just in time for the high school graduation. Okay, I planned at that time to... Hey, quick break here. If you're enjoying this episode and ready to take your walking to the next level and save money, visit walkingforhealthandfitness.com/habit or click the link in the description and check out my Walking Habit Builder program. Your next 10 weeks of accountability, encouragement, and real progress. Turn 10-minute walks into a daily routine that fuel your next 10 weeks of momentum, and it's delivered straight into your inbox. Twice a week for the next 10 weeks, you'll get a powerful dose of motivation, strategy, and support right when you need it most. These aren't just friendly nudges. They're habit-building tools disguised as emails. Each one is designed to help you set clear walking and fitness goals that actually excite you, stay consistent even when life gets hectic, break through common roadblocks like lack of time, energy, and motivation, reconnect with your why so walking becomes something you want to do, track your wins and celebrate them, you've earned it, and rewire your habits, one walk, one win, 1 week at a time. By the end of 10 weeks, you won't just be walking more, you'll be living, thinking, and moving like someone who never stops showing up for themselves. You'll also boost your energy, trim your waistline, and clear your mind without needing a gym or a schedule overhaul. Stay motivated and on track with the Walking Habit Builder, your next 10 weeks of consistent encouragement, expert coaching, and powerful progress. Here's what's included in the Walking Habit Builder program: the Walking Habit Builder Action Guide, emails twice a week for the next 10 weeks, the Walking Works Blueprint book, you get my book for free, 4 weeks of my Walking Logbook Journal to keep track of your progress, and a 30-minute music track to walk to. So to save money, use code TRACKING33 and save $10 off this program. So head to walkingforhealthandfitness.com/habit or use the link below and the discount code TRACKING33. Save money and start your next walk with purpose. Now back to your regularly scheduled episode. So I planned on walking the last 4 miles from the George Washington Bridge, west down Main Street, Fort Lee into Leonia, and then take a left onto Glenwood Avenue and follow my team's cross-country training route back to Palisades Park High School. While the route back is not on Route 1 because Route 1 and 46 is just too dangerous to walk on, especially from the George Washington Bridge into Palisades Park, I like the fact that I'd be on my team's training route instead. Now, over the past 20 years, I've run, walked, or driven this route hundreds of times. I planned on inviting family, friends, current and past students, and make a fun fitness walk out of this day that I completed my virtual run. Well, the excitement of completing the run just wasn't there in June when I was not in my classroom, there was no students to goof on, and my walk finale was not to be. I was sitting alone in my home office, Now at that time, I was so unmotivated to write about it that I didn't even notice until a month later that on June 24th was the day I completed the 11,285 miles around the United States perimeter. In the end, I had finished, it turned out, the last 4-mile walk was an out and back route from my house to a large horse farm, well, large for North Jersey anyway, and then back to my house. So what I learned during my virtual walk, now in those 16 years, I learned that staying in shape can be a lot of fun. Persistence is the key to maintaining a fitness routine, and slow and steady wins the race. It really does. I enjoyed tracking my miles on physical maps, photoshopping myself in very ordinary places, and setting an example for my students that exercise is vital as we get older. Now, what my virtual run around the United States has done for me, well, it gets me out the door on those less than ideal days. I've been out on winter evenings in 17-degree weather to get my walking miles in, and in 100-degree heat during the dog days of August. It motivates me to put in that extra mile or two on days when I'm feeling good. I see my progress. Without a record of what you've accomplished, how can you measure your progress in growth? I get to have fun with Photoshop and use Google Earth to explore sites along my walking route. I listen to dozens of audiobooks and podcasts. I get to take pictures of myself for Facebook and my Instagram accounts. And I dictated notes into my iPhone about topics to write about, such as my blog post, 29 Things to Do While Walking. Okay? It gave me time to think about creating my Walking for Health and Fitness website. Now, lastly, doing this for 16 years showed me that I have what it takes to set a goal, to overcome obstacles, to revise the plan when needed, such as when I got hurt, and ultimately succeed. Woody Allen once said 90% of success is just showing up. I'd say success is just getting out the door. Now, I love this statement. Make measurable progress in reasonable time. Now, regularly tracking your workouts and their progress, it's important for several reasons. Now, it makes it more likely you'll reach and surpass your goal. It allows you to be more efficient with your time and your workouts. It lends accountability to yourself and your goals. It allows for easier modifications and shows when and where changes need to be made. It can be motivating and reinforcing to remind you why you are doing what you're doing. It helps to drive the focus and direction of your fitness plan. It keeps you committed to your plan, and you see the progress. I mean, if I didn't keep track of this, and you had asked me, hey, what'd you do for 16 years, with your workouts? I would have said, I ran, I walked, that was it. But to have this, hey, 11,000 miles I stuck with this thing, really says something about tracking progress. Now, as I wrote in my book, Walking Inspiration, small progress is still progress. And segment 3, how to track your walks. Now, if you've been listening so far, you know that tracking is the secret ingredient that turns walking from a casual activity into a consistent habit. But let's get practical. How exactly do you do it? There are two main ways I recommend tracking your walks. Both are simple and both are effective. And when you combine them, you get the best of both worlds. Option 1, the Walking Logbook Journal. Let's start with my favorite. It's my book, The Walking Logbook Journal. There's something powerful about writing down things by hand. When you put pen to paper, you slow down. You reflect and you record more than numbers. You capture meaning. In my Walking Logbook Journal, each page guides you to write the basics. Date, distance, time, steps. But it also includes reflection prompts. Things like, what went well today? What challenged me? What am I grateful for right now? And that combination of data and reflection creates what psychologists call self-reinforcement. You're not just logging facts, you're logging your mindset. And that's where transformation happens. So after your walk, take 60 seconds to write down what you did, then add one quick reflection. It could be as simple as, felt tired at first, but by the second mile, my energy came back. That one sentence gives you feedback, closure, and motivation to walk again tomorrow. Now, I'll add a link in the description or go to Amazon and search for the Walking Logbook Journal by Frank Ring. And option number 2 is the Walking for Health and Fitness Google Sheets Walking Tracker. Now, if you're more of a numbers person or you love seeing progress add up visually, the Google Sheets Tracker is for you. This digital tracker does the math for you. Enter your miles and it automatically totals your weekly and monthly progress. It's like a scoreboard for fitness. And there's something really satisfying about seeing that total number grow. And many people use the tracker that comes with the Walking Works Blueprint because it's simple, shareable, and built to keep your motivation high. You can access it from your phone. So when you finish the walk, open up the sheet, drop it in the numbers, and watch your totals update in real time. Download the free Walking for Health and Fitness Google Sheets Walking Tracker from the link in the description or from the blog post of this episode at my walkingforhealthandfitness.com/podcast-episode is the link. I'll leave a link in the description. Okay, bonus. Use them together. Now, here's where the magic happens. Use them both. Now, many of my Walking Work Blueprint readers do this exactly. The Walking Logbook Journal for reflection and mindset, the Google Sheet for data and accountability. The logbook builds your emotional connection to walking. The spreadsheet builds your visual proof of progress. Together, they create a positive feedback loop that keeps you consistent, inspired, and proud of your work. So, some quick wins. Let's wrap this up with a few quick wins you can put into action today. Number 1, write down today's walk. Record your time, distance, and steps, even if it's just a half mile. Number 2, record one win or one gratitude from your walk. Maybe your win is simply getting out the door, and your gratitude is the sunrise you saw along the way. 3, celebrate streaks, not perfection. It's not about never missing a day. It's about always coming back. Every entry, every number, every note in your log builds momentum. And remember, you can't improve what you don't measure. So whether you prefer pen and paper, a digital sheet, or both, start tracking today. Because the moment you write it down, your walk becomes more than exercise. It becomes evidence of your progress and your commitment to a better, healthier you. And segment 4, accountability and motivation. Now, once you start tracking your walks, something interesting happens. You stop hoping you'll stay motivated and you start knowing you will. That's the power of accountability. When you track your walks in your logbook, in Google Sheets, wherever, you're creating a mirror. You can see the truth of your consistency. Some days it reflects, I crushed it. Other days it whispers, hey, time to get moving again. Either way, that reflection keeps you honest, and that honesty keeps you walking. Now, number one, you have accountability to yourself. Now, in my Walking Works Blueprint book, I wrote that tracking your progress is the most personal form of accountability because it creates awareness. Awareness builds integrity, and integrity builds confidence. When you say, I walk 4 days a week, and your tracker shows 4 days a week, your brain recognizes that truth. You're living in alignment with the person you said you'd be. This isn't about guilt, it's about pride. You're showing up for yourself, not because you have to, but because you want to keep the streak alive. Number two, the science behind it. There's solid psychology behind this. Behavioral research calls it the self-monitoring effect. It's one of the strongest predictors of lasting behavior change. When people measure their activity, they naturally do more of it. It's simple reinforcement. The act of seeing progress triggers dopamine, the brain's feel-good motivation chemical. In short, your logbook literally makes your brain want to keep walking. Number three, it adds a layer of social accountability. Now, let's take it up a notch. Share your progress, even if it's just once a week. Share it with your friends, your walking buddies, or your online group. You can post a screenshot from your Google Sheet or a photo of your walking journal page with your miles circled. Now, tag me if you like. I love seeing where people are in their walking journeys. When you share your progress, you're inviting others into your story, and you might inspire them to start their own. Now, accountability grows stronger when it's shared. And number four, celebrate consistency, not perfection. Remember what I said in the last segment? Celebrate streaks, not perfection. Life happens, missed walks, bad weather, busy days. What matters is the return. The comeback walk counts double. So when you get back out there after a tough week, record it, circle it, underline it, whatever reminds you that you kept going. That's real success. And number five, the long game mindset. Accountability and motivation aren't about quick wins. They're about building trust with yourself. Every time you walk and record it, you're saying, I can rely on me. And when you can rely on yourself, the possibilities open up in fitness, in health, and in life. So before you close your log today, take 10 seconds to look back on your entries. Every number you see is a promise you kept. That's not just progress, that's transformation. Next, I'll show you how to take this momentum even further with tools and a community support that keeps you moving forward long after this episode ends. Then we'll close with this week's reflection of the week, a mindset prompt you can take on your next walk. And segment 5, reflection of the week. You've heard the theme all episode long, track it to hack it. When you write it down, you bring your progress to life. When you see it, you believe it. And when you believe it, you keep walking. So your next step, if today's episode inspires you to start tracking your walks, I've made it easy for you. Download my free Walking for Health and Fitness Google Sheets walking tracker. It's the same one I use for my own walks. It automatically totals your weekly and monthly mileage, giving you visual proof of your progress. And if you want daily encouragement, join my Walking Habit Builder program with practical coaching to help you stay consistent and confident. You'll find both links in the show notes or at walkingforhealthandfitness.com/habit. And remember, use tracking code 33 to save $10 off the cost of this inspiring program. Start today. Track your first walk. Watch your consistency grow. So the reflection of the week is your day one snapshot. This week, take a snapshot of your day one, your distance, your time, maybe even a photo from your route. Write it down or type it into your tracker. Then in 30 days, look back and ask yourself, what changed? What did I learn about myself by simply showing up? That reflection is where growth happens. So tag me on social media to share it with my supportive audience, or email me at frank@walkingforhealthandfitness.com. All my social tags will be at the bottom of this episode's blog post at walkingforhealthandfitness.com. Closing thoughts, you don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to measure one thing, your effort. Because what gets measured gets mastered. Track your miles, log your wins, and celebrate every step. And remember, you're not just walking for fitness, you're walking toward freedom. Okay? If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share it with a friend who needs a little walking inspiration, and leave a review. I'd appreciate that. It helps others discover the show and keep our walking community growing strong. So until next time, keep logging, keep walking, and as I always say, this is Frank. Walk on.